Discover the incredible transformation. Millionaire's mute daughter's life-changing sip revealed. Emily stood in the grand foyer of her family's Maplewood mansion, the chandelier casting glimmers on polished marble floors. Outside, the rich gardens glowed in the summer twilight, but inside, Emily felt like a phantom, a living ghost drifting between walls of silence and expectations. Her father's booming voice filled the boardroom, always prioritizing profits over the pause for family dinners, while whispers danced around her at school, questioning her muteness as if it were a hidden curse. Each afternoon, Emily escaped to the local community center. Here, laughter replaced the silence that confined her, and creativity blossomed like wildflowers. Children splashed paint and struck up tunes as the scent of possibility filled the air. Among these vibrant souls, she met Sam. He was everything she wasn't, loud, vibrant, and filled with dreams that soared above his circumstances. He strummed a guitar and sang of freedom, and Emily felt the walls around her heart begin to crack. "You have to find your voice," Sam said one day, nudging her toward a pile of canvases. The vibrant colors beckoned like wild creatures waiting to escape. Emily felt a spark ignite within her, a flicker of recognition, of hope. In their secret world of paint and laughter, Emily found parts of herself unfurling. She didn't just paint, she painted feelings, pouring her soul into canvases that glowed with her untold stories. For the first time in her life, she started to believe in herself. But her father's plans loomed on the horizon. "You're going to Claremont Preparatory, Emily," he announced one evening, a thick folder of brochures resting heavily on the dinner table. The words echoed in her head, drowning out Sam's laughter and the vibrant colors around her. Claremont was the epitome of success, but it felt like a gilded cage closing in on her spirit. As the local music festival approached, Emily felt the turmoil within her intensify. It was a moment of courage, on a grand stage, and electricity that surged through the crowd during the festival preparations. She thought of Sam standing next to her, their friendship blooming. The night was theirs to change everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Under a sky painted with fireworks, Emily took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight beside Sam. The crowd hushed, eyes gazing, hearts waiting. She gripped the microphone, her heart pounding with the fear of the unknown. The weight of her father's expectations throbbed behind her eyes, but as she glanced at Sam, something ignited within her. Tonight is a chance for change. The words trembled at the tip of her tongue, but could she really shatter the silence that had haunted her for years? The world around her seemed to blur, the whispers from the neighborhood fading away. It was just Emily and the pulse of the stage. As the moment stretched, she realized that this was more than a performance. It was a declaration. Would she find the strength to finally break free, to be the voice she had always kept hidden? Emily steadied herself. Breathing deeply, she focused on the warmth of the spotlight's glow and the crowd's anticipation. Her heart pounded, a living metronome, counting down to her moment of truth. The microphone felt alien in her hands, yet powerful, a bridge to realms she had longed to cross, yet feared. Sam stepped closer. His reassuring smile sent a wave of calm through her. He nodded, encouraging her without words. In that instant, Emily realized that it wasn't just about her voice, it was about sharing her essence with the world. A spark of determination blazed in her chest, pushing the fear back into the shadows. With a shaky exhale, she spoke. Tonight is about finding ourselves." The clarity of her intention shone through the squeak of her nerves. The audience leaned in, and she could see glimmers of hope reflected in their eyes. The moment swelled, rich and full of potential. "All my life, I've been a ghost," she suddenly added, the words spilling forth like a confession, floating through expectations never truly seen. In the silence that followed, she felt the weight of isolation lift just a little. Vulnerability was a powerful force. The crowd shifted, whispers rippling among them. It was as if they could feel her heartbeat soaring, a wild, unabashed thrum of existence. She forced her gaze to Sam, who was nodding, urging her to go on. And now, her words were picking up steam, flowing like water breaking free from a dam. "Now, I choose to speak my truth." The passion fueling her made the world around her glitter with possibility. "I am not just the mute millionaire's daughter. I refuse to be defined by silence. Tonight, I embrace the colors in me, the songs waiting to be sung." Every word was a brushstroke, painting her identity bright and bold across the indifference she had felt for so long. The crowd's response was electric, a wave of energy that crashed over her. Cheers erupted, a cascade of sounds that felt like a symphony. They were no longer strangers. They were companions in her journey, and she savored every moment of connection. Emily took a step back, letting out a small, airy laugh, the kind that rises from a joyous heart. She glanced down at the microphone, ready to drop it, to just revel in the applause. But then a thought tugged at her. What if I could share my story differently, through art and music? It was a challenge to both herself and the audience, an invitation to create with her, rather than merely witness. A spark of inspiration ignited in the air, hinting at collaborations that could soon emerge. What if this festival brought more than laughter? What if it opened doors for all those who feel trapped by their silence? She looked around at the crowd, catching glimpses of bright-eyed faces reflecting excitement, interest, anticipation. As the applause faded, the momentum turned into the possibility of a partnership, a collaboration of voices, amplifying those who were typically unheard. "Join me," she called out, her voice stronger now, filled with courage and belief. "Let's create together and celebrate every shade of what it means to be alive." The crowd roared back, an overwhelming wave that washed over her. In that electric moment, Emily knew her life was about to change forever. But just as she thought she had found her footing, a familiar face loomed at the edge of the crowd, a stern presence lingering in the shadows, sending a chill racing through her spine. Was her father here? Did he hear everything? Before she could steer her thoughts away, he stepped into the spotlight, and the energy in the air shifted dramatically. Would he give her the support she so desperately needed, or would he pull her back into the silence she fought so hard to escape? Emily's heart raced again, but this time it was driven by a mixture of dread and hope. Would she be able to reclaim her voice in the face of unexpected opposition? Emily's heart pounded like a drum, the rhythm steady but frantic as she stood frozen, caught between her courage and her fear. The crowd felt like a storm swirling around her, each heartbeat echoing the voices of support, yet overshadowed by the single, commanding silence she had known all her life. Her father stepped further into the spotlight, his tailored suit glimmering under the bright lights. The familiarity of his presence brought up a flood of memories, cold dinners, unsaid words, the weight of expectations that clung to her like a suffocating veil. She could practically feel the walls of her childhood closing in again, but she forced herself to breathe, to stand her ground. "Emily," he called out, his voice booming, authoritative. "This isn't who you are. You belong in a world of sophistication, far from this chaos." His words were laced with concern, but cut deep. She knew that tone well. It echoed all the times he'd attempted to guide her life with invisible strings, hoping to mold her into something she wasn't. Instinctively, Emily clenched her fists around the microphone, its cool surface grounding her. "No, this is exactly who I am," she replied, her voice rising above the crowd's murmurs. "I am more than your vision. I have my own voice." A wave of gasps washed through. The audience like a gasp of fresh air. The energy shifted, and she could see it ripple outward. For a moment, it felt like she was floating, untethered from the expectations that had once defined her. "Embrace your true self," Sam shouted from the crowd, his voice filled with warmth and determination. Emily's heart soared. He was on her side, willing to stand up for her against the very shadows she had tried to escape. "Tonight is not just about me," Emily declared, looking back at the faces illuminated in the spotlight. "It's about all of us, those who feel they can't be heard. I won't let fear define me anymore." The crowd erupted into cheers as she found her footing. Her father's expression darkened, his lips pressed into a thin line, as if he were grappling with her defiance. But this time, she refused to cower. What he doesn't understand, she thought, is that true strength comes from vulnerability. And suddenly, she grasped at the brilliance of that understanding. What if, she paused, a rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins? What if we created a space for everyone to share their stories through music and art? Together, we can illuminate the paths that have been so dark for so long. The audience roared again, this time with vigor, their enthusiasm palpable. "Rise and shine," she could almost feel them whisper. But her father's face tightened with rage, and for a brief moment she felt a flicker of doubt. What did he really think? Would he ever see her as she was? As the crowd chanted her name, filling the air with encouragement, Emily locked eyes with her father, who stood there. The split-second connection sparked an internal storm, anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope. She held her breath. "Please, Dad, see me for who I am. Be proud of me." But the look in his eyes only deepened her fear. Suddenly, she felt a harsh chill settle in her bones. She wanted to believe he would accept her, but doubt clawed at the edges of her courage. What if, instead of support, he brought chaos and confusion back into her life? Just as quickly, those worries were drowned by the support of those around her. "Join me in this journey," she shouted, her voice ringing clear with conviction. "Let's create something incredible together." With the crowd cheering her on, anticipation sparkled in the air. But the real question loomed like a storm cloud on the horizon. Would her father fight to tear her down, or would he find a way to accept this new version of his daughter? As she raised the microphone again, ready to lead this new charge, Emily felt the weight of her past grappling with the birth of her future. What would come next? The energy in the air was electric. Emily stood at the center of the stage, heart racing, basking in the transformative moment she had created. The crowd surged like a wave, each cheer pushing her further from the shore of her past. Her father's face was still a mask of disbelief. The anguish and confusion were palpable, hanging in the air like a thick fog. She could almost feel the tension radiate off him, but she refused to let it pull her back. Instead, with each shout from the audience, her resolve solidified. "Music! Art! Expression!" she continued, voice unwavering. "These are the languages that truly connect us. They are the keys to unlock our true selves." She felt lighter, her burdens lifting as though they were carried away by the enthusiasm around her. Every cheer fed her soul. It was a collective chorus of acceptance. But lurking just beneath the surface, doubts still lingered. What if her father was not ready to accept this new truth? "Let's transform this space," she urged. "Together we can show the world that we won't be silenced anymore. Every voice matters, and tonight we celebrate that." As the crowd roared in approval, Emily caught a glimpse of her father again. His expression was softer now, wrestling with something that resembled confusion, but also curiosity. Could he be coming around? But before she could dwell on it, Sam's voice cut through. "Emily, remember why you're here." His words anchored her in the swirling sea of uncertainty. He was her rock, her reminder of why she had fought so hard to be seen. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the faces in front of her. They were not just a crowd, they were individuals, each with their own stories, each carrying their own unspoken fears. Her resolve was like a flame, igniting a fire in their hearts as they all leaned in, hungry for change. What if we brought together our stories? What if we held workshops, open mics, and community art projects? What if we turned this space into a safe haven? The words flowed out of her, bursting forth like fireworks, brighter and bolder than she'd ever imagined. With each idea she shared, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Volunteers were already stepping forward, faces lit with excitement. Emily's heart swelled as people came alive, intrigued and inspired. But as she scanned the sea of faces, her father's gaze bore into her. There was something there she hadn't expected: conflict. His pride, his fear, his desire to maintain control, all tangled together in a single look. Emily hesitated. What if he thinks I'm a failure? The thought crept in, uninvited. She wouldn't allow herself to retreat, yet the specter of his expectations loomed larger than before. She turned the microphone towards the audience, extending her heart. What I need now is your strength. Let your voices rise with me, and we can take this on. As the voices in the crowd harmonized with her, she felt a profound shift. For the first time, doubts about her father faded, replaced by the warmth of solidarity from the people rallying behind her. But in that moment of harmony, triumph. Just as she was swept away by the power of community, a sharp voice broke through the jubilance. "Emily, you can't really mean this." It was her father, breaking the tension, his tone slicing through the energy like a knife. Her stomach flipped. What was he going to say? The crowd fell silent. Every eye turned to him, intrigued, anxious, and ready for his reaction. Would he stand against her, or finally offer his support? Emily felt her heart rate spike, caught in a web of suspense and hope. The stakes had been raised, and the moment hung in the air, ripe with potential. What would happen next? "Emily, you can't really mean this." Her father's voice rang out, loud enough to drown the cheers echoing in the theater. It cut through the air, crisp and heavy. Emily's stomach twisted. What was he going to say? The crowd fell silent. Every eye turned to him, intrigued, anxious, and ready for his reaction. Would he stand against her, or finally offer his support? Emily felt her heart rate spike, caught in a web of suspense and hope. The stakes had been raised, and the moment hung in the air, ripe with potential. What would happen next? "Emily, you can't really mean this." Her father's voice rang out, loud enough to drown the cheers echoing in the theater. It cut through the air, crisp and heavy. Emily's stomach twisted. She felt every gaze snap towards him, uncertainty weaving through the crowd. The energy shifted from vibrant support to a tense anticipation. A tightrope stretched taut between her and the man she'd long tried to please. "Dad, I do mean it." Her father's voice rang out, loud enough to drown the cheers echoing in the theater. It cut through the air, crisp and heavy. Emily's stomach twisted. She felt every gaze snap towards him, uncertainty weaving through the crowd. The energy shifted from vibrant support to a tense anticipation. A tightrope stretched taut between her and the man she'd long tried to please. "Dad, I do mean it." "Dad, listen to me. This isn't just a phase for me. This is who I am." She shot back, her voice trembling slightly under the weight of his disbelief. "You don't understand," he insisted, stepping further into the spotlight, his presence commanding but shaky. "You're throwing everything away, your dreams, your future, everything I worked for." "What you worked for is not what I want," she countered, feeling the heat rising in her cheeks. Her pulse echoed in her ears, a constant reminder that she was standing her ground, finally breaking the cycle. "I want to find my own path." A murmur rippled through the audience. Many nodded, some even shouted in agreement. The noise swelled, wrapping around Emily like a protective embrace. She looked at her father, hoping to see understanding in his eyes, but all she saw was fear. "Your path is wrong. You're making a mistake, and I won't just stand by and watch you ruin your life." His hands balled into fists, and Emily could see the fight in him.
the desperate need to hold on to what he believed was right. "Dad, listen to me," she cried, her heart racing. "I'm not ruining anything. I'm finally living the life I want. I might fail, but at least it'll be my failure, not one handed to me." At that moment, Emily saw the crowd's collective support. Batman masks and rainbow flags waved beside each other, a testament to their diversity. They were there for her, standing strong against the man she had desperately tried to impress all her life. And in their eyes, she saw what it meant to be free. Her father hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face. It felt like an evidence, seeing him pull back for a split second, grappling with the emotions swirling inside him. Could his daughter actually be happy without him? "What do you think this is?" he implored. "A game?" "It's my
Life, she responded, a fierce clarity igniting in her heart. "And I'm done pretending. I don't need your approval to be who I am. I can't keep hiding beneath your expectations." The crowd burst into applause, more invigorated than before. The cheers surged, rising, crashing around them like waves. Emily felt a warmth in her chest. She had created this moment, but she could feel her father stiffening against it. "You're abandoning everything I've given you," he whispered now, almost to himself, as if grappling for the words that would pull her back. "Maybe it's time we both learn to let go," Emily replied, her voice softening. She was ready to embrace her new reality, shadows of fear breaking away like clouds after a storm. For a fleeting moment, a flicker of something crossed her father's face. Was it understanding? Regret? It slipped away as quickly as it had come, replaced by reluctance. The crowd, electrified, waited desperately for his response. Would he stand firm against her, or embrace her in this brave new world? Emily's heart raced. Could this be the moment of truth for them both? As silence engulfed the room, she held her breath, desperate for his next words, ready to face whatever came next. The tension in the theater lingered like a thick fog. Emily's heart thundered in her chest, each beat a countdown to what might follow. Every eye was on her father, every breath held in collective anticipation. She wanted so badly for him to understand, to see her for who she really was. But as the silence stretched, uncertainty clung to her like an unwanted shadow. Then, his expression softened for just a moment. It was as if the weight of his expectations had momentarily lifted, revealing a flicker of vulnerability she had never seen before. Her father took a step back, his hands now resting at his sides. "You don't have to give up everything," he began, his voice a fragile whisper, full of hesitation. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Did he truly want to understand her? Or was this merely a desperate plea to keep her in his world? She took a small step forward, reducing the space between them. "It's not about giving up everything, Dad. It's about discovering who I am if I take a chance." A ripple of noise broke through the crowd again, a mix of encouragement and awe. She could feel their energy surround her, bolstering her courage as she pressed on. "I've spent so long trying to meet your expectations. Now it's my turn to explore my dreams and set my own goals." He swallowed hard, as if trying to digest her words. "But what if you fall?" His voice cracked, revealing the father beneath the authoritative exterior. "What if you fail?" With newfound determination, Emily lifted her chin. "Then I'll get back up. Isn't that what we've always been taught about life? Falling isn't the end, it's just part of the journey." "You taught me that!" Her voice crescendoed, passion spilling from her heart. "I can't live my life in fear of failure. Not anymore." The audience erupted into applause again, their voices swelling around them like an unstoppable tide. They were rising with her, ushering in the change she had longed for. But instead of the proud smile she hoped to see on her father's face, she found him shaking his head slowly, a deep furrow set in his brow. I want what's best for you," he mumbled, seemingly caught between pride and despair. All I've ever wanted was to protect you." "I know," she said, her voice softer now, barely a breath. "But sometimes protecting someone means letting go and trusting them to take their own steps. I need to do this for me." As the crowd continued to chant her name, Emily felt a crack in the wall he had built around them. It was still there, a heavy presence of doubt and fear, but something had shifted. Was it hope? Perhaps. He looked away, his eyes glistening under the stage lights. I wish I could just support you, but it's hard." For the first time, Emily saw his struggle, the tightrope walk between love and expectation flashing vivid in his eyes. "You can," she encouraged gently. "You can start now." Silence fell over them again, a fragile truce forming in the air. She sensed that this moment was shifting something fundamental. Would he find the strength to embrace her journey, or would he cling to his fear and miss out on the connection they both needed? As the audience held their breath, Emily took one more step forward, inching closer, ready to reach for her father's hand, hoping he would grasp it. Would he take this leap of faith with her? The question hung in the air, heavy and palpable, as she waited for his answer. Would it lead them toward a future of understanding or push them further apart? Emily's heart raced, so loud against her ribcage that she feared the entire audience could hear it. She held her breath, steadying herself as she prepared for whatever came next. The theater, buzzing with anticipation, felt like a living thing. She could feel the energy radiate from the crowd, supportive, yet heavy with expectation, as if they were all waiting on his answer as much as she was. Her father's eyes darted, searching for something, perhaps the right words, or the courage to let go. After what felt like an eternity, he finally turned back to her, and for a brief moment, everything else faded away. The lights, the applause, the weight of his own failures, all diminished in that gaze. He started, the word barely escaping his lips. But just then, the silence shattered as someone from the audience shouted, "You got this, Emily!" A ripple of supportive shouts followed, urging both of them on. Staring into her father's eyes, she saw not just confusion, but a battle waging within him. It wasn't just about her dreams, it was about his fear of losing her. "Dad, please," she urged, stepping even closer. "You can trust me. I won't let you down, but I can't make a life for myself under your shadow." A flicker flashed in his eyes, recognition dawning on him, a glimmer of something that resembled understanding. For a moment, he looked softer, less like the man who had built walls of expectations, and more like the father she had once known. I wish I could just embrace this," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper, cracking with emotion. "I'm scared. I've always been scared." "You don't have to be scared," she replied, her voice soothing but firm. "Give me a chance to fall. Give me a chance to soar." His shoulders slumped slightly, as if the weight of his own burdens was becoming too much to bear. She could see the walls he had meticulously built cracking, letting through a rush of vulnerability. The applause faded into silence as he contemplated her words. All the dreams he had for her, his desire to protect her, they had become chains, binding them both. He took a deep breath, swallowing hard. "What if you fly too high, Emily? What if you never come back down?" Her stomach twisted at his words. She knew the risks, but wasn't that a part of it all? "What if I find out I can fly? Isn't that worth the chance?" Another long pause followed, silence stretching between them like a fragile thread. This was their moment, their pivotal crossing point. The crowd could feel it too, the air thick with tension and possibility. Then, slowly, his hand raised, trembling slightly, as if contemplating whether to reach out. Emily felt the room hold its collective breath. Would he take that leap with her? In that heartbeat, Emily realized she wasn't just asking for his support. She was seeking his trust, the trust that could heal years of hurt and expectation. And then, it happened. As if propelled by some unseen force,
His hand moved forward, fingers curling around hers, a small act packed with immense power. The warmth of his palm enveloped hers, a silent promise hanging between them. The crowd erupted into cheers, but Emily was lost in the moment, a whirlwind of emotions swirling around her. Hope ignited within her, fueling the belief that they could navigate this complicated terrain together. But as she looked into his eyes, another thought struck her. What if this was just the beginning? What would their journey look like moving forward? Would they stand united against the trials ahead, or would old fears still fester in the shadows? In that thrilling moment of connection, a new question emerged, a question she hadn't allowed herself to ask until now. What if, in seeking to rise, they also had to confront the very foundations of their relationship? As the applause rang around them, she squeezed his hand tighter, ready
to pull him into a future where they both learned to grow. But the fear of uncharted waters loomed larger than ever. Where would they go from here? Would they find their way together, or would the path ahead reveal deeper cracks between them? As the cheers washed over them, Emily's heart buzzed with excitement and a hint of anxiety. The warmth of her father's hand wrapped around hers sparked a fire within her. This was the pivotal moment she had longed for, yet it felt surreal. She turned her gaze from the audience, away from the bright lights and clapping hands, back to her father. "Are you ready to take this leap with me?" she whispered, the words barely audible over the noise. She could see the turmoil still swirling behind his eyes. Just because he had taken her hand didn't mean he was ready to leap into the unknown. He nodded slowly, uncertainty still etched into his features. "I want to be. I really do. But it's hard, Em. I've built my world around, well, control, around expectations." Emily understood. She felt the pressure every day. "What if we start small?" she suggested, her voice steady. "What if we sit down together, just the two of us, and figure this out? We can lay out our fears and dreams side by side." He inhaled deeply, as if inhaling the possibility along with the air, and a faint smile crept onto his face, one that felt like a bridge between them. "Okay, let's try." As the curtain fell, cloaking them in a moment's privacy, Emily felt an unexpected wave of relief. The next steps wouldn't be easy, but they had at least taken the first one together. They stepped off the stage to find a small gathering of family and friends waiting. Excited faces, beaming with pride, surrounded them. Her mom rushed forward, enveloping them in a tight embrace. "I knew you could do it. I'm so proud of both of you." Emily felt a rush of warmth, but it was bittersweet. Her father's face remained composed as he accepted the congratulations, a tight smile plastered across his lips. She could sense the crowd's energy flowing toward him, but another part of him remained guarded, holding back, uncertain. "What's next, Dad?" she asked cautiously as they navigated through the small group. The question hung heavy between them, a reflection of all that lay ahead. He looked at her, then at the scattering of people who had always cherished him. "I suppose we take it day by day, one conversation at a time." The realization struck her that it wouldn't be just about her dreams anymore. It was about rebuilding their relationship, piece by piece, word by word. They needed to tackle the comfort zones he had clung to for far too long. As they made their way to an empty table, her mother went to fetch drinks. Emily seized the moment of intimacy, leaning closer to her father. "What are
your biggest fears? I think we should talk about them." He hesitated, staring into his iced beverage. "It's not just about you flying. What if I can't keep up? What if I fall behind?" His vulnerability cut deep. It was a fear she had not anticipated. "Dad, this isn't a race. This is learning to grow together." With a gentle nod, he took a moment, swallowing hard, as if the very air around them had suddenly become dense. Suddenly, her mother returned, setting the drinks down with a smile, breaking the weight of the moment. "Cheers to new beginnings!" "Cheers," Emily echoed, raising her glass high. As they clinked their glasses together, buoyed by the spirit of newfound hope, she couldn't shake off the feeling that their journey was just beginning. But her mind nagged at her. She still wondered, what would their conversations reveal? Were they prepared for the truths that lay beneath the surface? Would the fears they exposed lead them toward healing or further divide them in the process? As she watched her father take a sip, deep in thought, she felt a shiver of anticipation. They were stepping into uncharted territory, and Emily had to know, how deep did the fear really run? The clinking of glasses faded into the background as Emily watched her father remain still, lost in his own thoughts. The laughter of their friends around them seemed distant, like a muffled soundtrack to a scene shifting in her heart. She wanted more than anything for him to truly open up, to share the tangled emotions he had kept hidden for so long. "Dad," she said, her voice barely louder than a whisper, but with intent, "it's okay to be scared. I promise I won't judge you." Her words hung in the air, delicate yet heavy. After what felt like an eternity, he finally looked up. The conflict in his eyes spoke volumes. "It's hard, Em. I've been so focused on being strong, on not showing how I really feel. I thought that was what you needed, what would keep you safe. Maybe I need you to be real with me instead," she replied, her gaze steady. "We can face things together, but we have to start somewhere." For a moment, the weight of those simple words transformed into a possibility. He took a shaky breath, setting aside the glass. "There were nights where I thought I'd lost you. When you were so determined to fly, it felt like I was losing the ground beneath my feet." Her heart raced as he spoke, the fear in his voice a mirror reflecting her own. "Dad, I never wanted you to feel that way. Being afraid doesn't mean you're losing me. It means we're being real." His brow furrowed, and she could almost see the gears turning in his mind, trying to process everything. The burden he carried felt heavier than any weight she could imagine. "Let's talk about it," she urged. "What scared you
The most? Was it letting me go, or was it something else? He hesitated again, the silence thickening. Her mom, sensing their moment, chatted amicably with others, but occasionally glanced back at them, her face filled with warmth. Emily placed her hand over her father's, a grounding gesture that asked him to stay present, to share the darkest corners of his heart. "It's not just about you flying," he sighed deeply. "It's also the fear of not knowing who I'll be without those expectations. I'm scared of disappointing everyone, of disappointing you." Emily squeezed his hand tighter, a wave of sympathy flowing through her. "Dad, I want you to find yourself, the real you, not the version that's afraid of fallings or mockery." His eyes softened slightly, and for the first time that evening, a genuine smile broke through. "I wish I had your courage," he admitted, a hint of admiration in his voice. "You do," she insisted. "We just have to find it together." In that moment, as if waking from a long slumber, their connection deepened. The tension that had been brewing for years appeared to loosen its grip, just slightly. Around them, the conversations ebbed and flowed, laughter and joy sprawled like a vibrant tapestry. "Let's take that leap you talked about," he finally agreed. "Starting today, the real conversations begin." The thought of opening new doors felt exhilarating, yet daunting. Emily's heart fluttered with the possibilities. They shared a moment of understanding, a silent pact to venture forward together, embracing the unknown. But as she gazed into her father's eyes, more questions swirled in her mind. What would their first real conversation bring? What fears would they unearth? And would the changes they aimed for ignite the spark of healing? Or would it ignite an unexpected fire that could burn them both? With hope and a heavy heart, she took a breath, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As her father reached for his glass again, she felt the undeniable thrill of a journey that was just starting. What surprising truths awaited them on the other side? Emily's heart raced as the evening unfolded, each moment a triumph over the silence that had once defined her. The chatter around the table felt electric, but her focus remained tightly woven into her father's gaze. His willingness to embrace their new reality shone bright, illuminating the darker corners of their history. "Starting today, the real conversations begin," he had said, and those words resonated deeply within her. But as they leaned into their promise of honesty, a rush of anticipation brewed in her chest. What would emerge from those conversations? Fear? Relief? Perhaps both. As plates clanked and voices mingled, Emily dared to dream. What if they found joy in sharing their vulnerabilities? What if they healed the old wounds together? The notion sent a thrill through her, a feeling she hadn't expected. She hoped this was just the beginning of their transformation. "Dad," she began, a gentle
Prodding. "What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about our conversations?" She could feel the weight of their uncharted territory pressing down, both exhilarating and daunting. He breathed in deeply, squeezing her hand as if anchoring himself. "I think I need to figure out how to listen without judgment." His tone was sincere, laced with the kind of vulnerability she had sought to nurture. "I've spent so long thinking I knew what was best for you, I forgot to hear your voice." The admission was grave, a bridge built to span the chasm that had separated them for so long. Emily smiled, the warmth of his insight renewing her hope. "That's a great start. It's all the little things that can lead to something bigger." Her mom chimed in, "And we'll all be here to push you both along. Just imagine how incredible it will be to witness each other's journeys." In her eyes, Emily saw support, a community ready to embrace their evolution as a family. "But what if I say things that make you uncomfortable? Or worse, things you don't want to hear?" he questioned, his brow furrowing. "I want you to know that I'm truly on your side, but I also worry that facing these truths might break our bond." Emily felt a familiar tug of uncertainty, drawing her back to those moments of confinement. "Dad, change can be scary, but remember, it can also be healing. We have to trust each other." She swallowed, her voice unfaltering. "It might hurt at times, but I believe it's worth it, just like I found my voice tonight." He studied her with renewed clarity, as though each word she spoke shone light on a path he had yet to consider. "You're right. This journey we're taking is important for both of us. If we're going to make this work, I need to trust you, just as you're trusting me." The tension that had filled their bond began dissipating slowly, yielding to a wave of unexpected warmth. Her heart swelled, knowing they were diving headfirst into the uncertain waters of their relationship. But it was liberating. What they were building felt revolutionary, a fresh start wrapped in vulnerability. As the evening drew on, their table buzzed with laughter and joy, but the deeper discussions loomed beneath the surface, waiting for their time to shine. "Let's start now. How about we schedule weekly talks?" Emily suggested, eager to lay foundations anew. "We can share what makes us tick and what terrifies us." "Agreed. We can use art too," he added. "You could teach me what you've learned from your experiences with creativity. I want to understand how you express your feelings." The excitement bubbling inside Emily was palpable. Her father's interest in her passions was a step toward renewed affection. "It'll be our way of opening up, no holds barred." The rest of the evening was filled with anecdotes and laughter, but a quiet understanding settled in Emily's heart. They were embarking on a shared mission, a commitment to nurture this new connection. Amidst the conversations flowing around them, her eyes caught her father's gaze once more. There was something different in his expression, the flicker of hope intertwining with a newfound willingness to confront his own fears. As they embraced after dessert, Emily felt joy flutter through her chest. She knew their journey wouldn't be easy, but together they would confront the challenges ahead, hand in hand. With each small step forward, they would continue to build bridges where walls once stood. And as the night faded into a tender conclusion, Emily looked around at her community, friends, family, and all those who believed in her. They had shared the stage, shared the spotlight, and in doing so, had woven a tapestry of connection and understanding. Tomorrow is a new day, she thought, feeling a rush of determination pulse through her. And in every conversation, every brushstroke on canvas, we will find a way to fly. In that moment, she knew they were ready to shape their story together, as a family, and determined to embrace every color, every sound that came with it. It was a thrilling beginning, and she wouldn't have traded it for the world. And just like that, the final curtain drew near, but the overture of their transformed lives was just about to begin.
Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this beautiful transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second to share.